This component part stretches from the southern limits of the Snowdon Massif along the Vale of Ffestiniog to the sea at Porthmadog. It encompasses an area of 686 hectares, with 10 elements dating from the 1820s to the 1930s. Here we see the entire process flow of the industry, beginning at the Ffestiniog quarries, which exploited the Ordovician slate vein, where the dip meant open quarrying had to give way to underground mining. Water, steam and electricity provided the power to process the slate, and quarry transport evolved from road and river to the pioneering and still operational Ffestiniog Railway. The process ended with the export of roofing slates from Porthmadog harbour on the distinctive locally built and crewed sailing ships. This component part is home to the largest of all the quarry settlements, Ffestiniog, which lies at the foot of the Slate Mines and Quarries, a contrast to the setting of Plas Tan y Bwlch country house and garden, the former home of the Oakley family, owner of a number of the Ffestiniog quarries. The vast landform of the Ffestiniog quarries, the enormous tips of waste slate rubble and open workings were created from the late 18th century onwards. Different slate veins were in different ownership, so separate quarries and mines were opened, such as Cymru, Oakley, Llechi, Mine Ffestiniog and Diffwys. What we see on the surface is only a fraction of what lies below ground. Beneath the Ffestiniog landscape lie spectacular honeycomb chambers, where in many cases machinery, complete inclined planes and railway systems survive intact. The underground workings also preserve smaller artefacts such as boots, newspapers and cigarette packets. Slate is no longer mined in the property, but some areas are accessible on specialised tours, giving people the opportunity to better understand the heritage that lies beneath their feet. The Ffestiniog quarries use different forms of power to operate the uphaulage inclines, bringing slate blocks to the surface, and the mills which process the blocks into roofing slates. At Mine Ffestiniog, the well-preserved late 19th century mill was originally powered by water. At the neighbouring Diffwys quarry, where water was scarce, steam had to be used. And at Llechi quarry, electricity was generated at Pant yr Afon power station. Today, outside of the property, landform quarrying that has taken place since the 18th century continues. Within the property, the historic landforms of the Ffestiniog quarries have been repurposed for tourism, starting in the 1970s at Llechi quarry and now incorporating Mine Ffestiniog and Diffwys quarries.
Llechi has welcomed visitors to its magnificent site at the heart of Snowdonia since the 19th century. Fast forward to the 1970s and it was developed as one of the very first industrial heritage attractions. After a period of decline, the last decade has seen it reinvented as a hugely popular site for a unique combination of heritage and adventure tourism. Visitors are introduced to the rich heritage and culture of the area, with all of the attractions referring to their surroundings and history, creating a new way for people to discover the past.
The town of Ffestiniog owes its entire existence to the development of slate quarrying in the 19th century. In just a few decades, a fully fledged town had been established in a remote upland region. Here were all the trappings of urban life: commerce, cultural and religious institutions, and a housing stock reflecting in precise detail the social structure of an industrial community. It was this community that made Ffestiniog, made it literally, as much of the town was built by the quarrymen themselves. From their individual endeavours, a place of robust and coherent character was created. The community spirit implicit in this is still strong in Blaenau Ffestiniog today.
Mae ardal Blaenau Ffestiniog yn frwd iawn dros ei chymuned a'i threftadaeth. Mae greiddiau cwmni bro wedi selio'n gadarn yn hanes diwydiannol a diwylliannol yr ardal, ac yn edrych sut fedrwn ni adeiladu ar y gorffennol bydd y dyfodol, heb colli ein iaith, diwylliant a'n cynefin. Da ni'n trio datblygu cynlluniau cynaladwy sydd o fydd i'r bobl ac amgylchedd leol. Mae hyn yn gynnwys gwelliannau ganol y dre, cynlluniau amgylcheddol y dref werdd, cynlluniau ni gwyrdd ac uwch sgilio bobl ifanc. Da ni ar hyn o bryd yn cydweithio efo cymunedau chwarelyddol Dyffryn Nantlla a Dyffryn Ogwen i rhannu ymarfer da a profiadau mwyn cryfhau ein cymunedau ac ail cysylltu pobl gyda'i treftadaeth gyfoethog ac yn edrych ymlaen yn hyderus i'r dyfodol.
Initially, slates from the Ffestiniog quarries were transported by pack horse and carts to River Quays, loaded into boats and transferred to ships in Porthmadog, where a sea embankment had scoured a channel. Locally built schooners, famous for their beauty and their turn of speed, braved the North Sea and the Atlantic. In 1836, the opening of the Ffestiniog Railway gave the quarries access to Porthmadog. The railway was skillfully engineered so wagons could travel by gravity on a downward gradient, with horses to haul them back. In 1863, steam locomotives were introduced. The Ffestiniog Railway was immensely influential across the world following the visits of officials and engineers in 1870. Inspired by innovative earlier slate-carrying railways in the property, it was in turn the inspiration to the Himalayan Railway, one of the World Heritage Mountain Railways of India, as well as for the Talyllyn Railway and Penrhyn State Quarry Railway elsewhere in the state landscape of northwest Wales. The Ffestiniog Railway carried slate until 1946. It now operates as a visitor attraction, with its historic steam locomotives and fleet of carriages and wagons.
At the Ffestiniog Railway, we're immensely proud of the way that we are able to maintain and develop traditional skills and pass those on to a further generation. And we're excitedly looking forward to further heritage projects with the Heritage Lottery Fund in interpreting the whole railway and in restoring heritage buildings at Boston Lodge.